Hello friends, welcome to Jinesh IS Academy editorial analysis. In this editorial, we do 5 things. Firstly, we will link the editorial to the UPSC CSE mains syllabus. Secondly, we will understand the key points from the editorial. Thirdly, we will understand the key concepts from the examination point of view. Fourthly, we have modeled the MCQs as per the UPSC prelims examination. And fifthly, we have modeled mains questions as per UPSC mains syllabus. So let's begin today's editorial analysis. Hello friends, welcome to Jinesh IS Academy editorial analysis. This editorial has been taken from the Business Line newspaper dated May 17, 2020. It's cover UPSC CSE syllabus GS paper 3 under the broad aegis of effect of policies and politics of countries on India's interest. Very first, the key points. Director General Azevedo's early exit comes at a time when his leadership is needed to tackle challenges posed by the United States. Azevedo took over as the World Trade Organization DG on September 1, 2013, 3 months before the World Trade Organization's 9th ministerial meeting in Bali, Indonesia. He replaced Pascal Lamy, the former European Union Trade Commissioner, who had served 2 terms during 2005 and 13. Azevedo, a former Brazilian, it means he belongs to Brazil, a Brazilian trade envoy, is the World Trade Organization's 6th Director General. Now we have a certain static knowledge for the sake of CSE prelims, like the other chiefs of the trade body include Peter Sutherland, July 1, 1993 to May 1, 1995, it is the tenure of Mr. Peter. Then Renato Ruggiero, May 1, 1995 to September 1, 1999. Then Mike Murray, September 1, 1999 to September 1, 2002. Then Supachai Panichapakadi, September 1, 2002 to September 1, 2005. And then Pascal Lamy. It's all about a static knowledge. Now, what are the vital point of US tussle with the World Trade Organization and other countries on that front, like US space trouble? The United States Congress is considering a legislation to withdraw from the World Trade Organization and put forward by House Democrats Peter DeFazio and Frank Pallone on May 13. The United States has not benefited from membership in the World Trade Organization, the 2 House lawmakers said. The World Trade Organization has been a disaster for the United States, the congressman said. With millions of jobs exported, ballooning trade deficit, and the erosion of United States sovereignty, the World Trade Organization has a 25-year track record of putting the profits of multinational corporations above the interest of American workers, DeFazio claimed. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown how the loss of United States manufacturing jobs to China and other countries has determined US ability to respond. The United States need to withdraw from the World Trade Organization to strengthen and protect our manufacturing base, public health and safety, industry and jobs, US sovereignty and the environment, DeFazio said, according to a report in the Washington Trade Daily on May 13. After 25 years of participation in the World Trade Organization, our workers have seen little to no benefits for their families and have instead watched as the World Trade Organization gives countries like China protections to use tariffs and other unfair trade practices to its advantages. It is claimed by the Pallone. We summarize all these things with these infographics. You saw in that world trade has been disaster for the US. It's all about the US thought process. And they says with millions of jobs exported, ballooning trade deficits, erosion of US sovereignty, the World Trade Organization has a 25-year track record of putting the profits of multinational corporations above the interest of American workers. It means with this forum, US is not benefited in terms of international trade, right? And they are losing their trade deficit erosion of US sovereignty, and jobs in terms of international competition, right? And they are losing their battle in international front, and this World Trade Organization is not a solution for the United States. It is the thought process of the Trump administration, right? And in this chart we will see number of United States trade disputes with WTO members since 2008. Very first the European Union, China, Canada, South Korea, India, Brazil, Japan, Argentina, Australia and Philippines. We will discuss the Indian and Chinese matter in the upcoming slides. Here we have a concept like hegemonic stability theory. The entire system of World Trade Organization is underpinned by the American hegemon supplying political and economic capital. If the US is in relative decline, the trade system will naturally fragment. This theory is known as the hegemonic stability theory. Now, why has the United States crippled the functioning of the World Trade Organization? In December 2019, the United States cut short its share of the funding to the World Trade Organization. This move has resulted in a shortage of funds for the appellate body of World Trade Organization to function, right? So, the very first organ of World Trade Organization which affected by the US sanction is appellate body of the World Trade Organization, right? The United States has also started the selection process for filling 6 vacancies at the appellate body by virtue of the veto power it enjoys in the appointment process. Consequently, the appellate body is left with only one member who will not be able to deliver any rulings on pending trade disputes, since a quorum of 3 members is required to adjudicate any dispute. So, you can say in one way it is hegemony of the United States in the World Trade Organization, and again United States is blaming the World Trade Organization for hampering its business. We discussed already in terms of United States sovereignty, fiscal deficit, trade deficit, budgetary deficit, etc., etc., right? Now, here we have again one infographics. Here you see the world map and the Trump administration, and their policy is all about American first, and what they did with the rest of the world trade. With this pictorial presentation we are discussing here how unilateral action by countries is challenging World Trade Organization. That is the moot question. United States of America has announced a series of unilateral tariff increase outside the World Trade Organization framework, and these include number one, safeguard tariffs to guard against a surge in imports of solar cells and washing machines. Second, imposition of 25% tariffs on the import of steel and 10% on imports of aluminum from all countries including India. And that situation is very pathetic for Indian businessmen on national security grounds. And discriminatory, third point is discriminatory tariffs on imports of about US 50 billion from China. Safeguard action by countries like one taken by the USA is allowed under World Trade Organization, but to be WTO compatible it has to follow a process that involves consultation between the parties and a possible resort to the World Trade Organization to determine WTO compatibility. No such consultations between the parties took place when it came to the US and China. It means because of American first policy of Trump administration, they are doing hegemonic action. You can say a dadagiri kind of action in World Trade Organization. It means without consultation they are doing or imposing tariffs on the worldly countries and hampering the world trade. Next, you can saw in this chart countries hitting back against US tariff. Every action have another action, vice versa. Retaliatory tariffs by European Union and China. Predictably, US action led to retaliatory tariffs being applied by China and the EU. India has said it will consider retaliation but has not imposed tariffs so far. In a world characterized by global supply chains, tariffs on China will affect countries upstream of the supply chain. It will create uncertainty about investment decisions and weaken the global economy. Options left with the other countries. Canada recently invited 12 like-minded countries to Ottawa to consider how World Trade Organization can be reinvigorated. The Ottawa meeting reaffirmed the importance of a rules-based multilateral trading system, and it is very ethical side, you can say, and stressed the indispensable role the WTO is playing in facilitation and safeguarding the trade. Here you can see one more infographics and a pictorial presentation which shows Trump says I am leaving the WTO, and they are again in the disaster, because if you are fighting against the whole world, maybe you are a superpower, but certain negativity will also hamper your business affairs. Now what the other countries are making, they are making a plan that is all about a World Trade Organization minus America option. It means WTO without America. If USA is not interested in World Trade Organization mechanism and does not show any interest in its revival, in that case the adequate reaction by US trade partners would be to join forces in order to protect the multilateral trading system. They need to make clear that if the US does not cooperate, they stand ready to put together a WTO minus America option, a formula similar to what Japan achieved with the Trans-Pacific Partnership after the US pullout. Here the important point is Trans-Pacific Partnership. We can learn from that episode, right? So if we will make this point very clear, we can say in January 2017, the United States withdrew from the agreement. The other 11 Trans-Pacific Partnership countries agreed in May 2017 to revive it and reached agreement in January 2018. In March 2018, the 11 countries signed the revised version of the agreement, and that is called Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. So, why did Trump withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership? That is again a vital question. Negotiations were halted by President Donald Trump, who then initiated a trade conflict with the European Union. Trump and the European Union declared a truce of sorts in July 2018, resuming talks that appeared similar to TTIP. On 15th April 2019, the negotiations have been declared obsolete and no longer relevant by the European Commission. Now again one question arises, what is the opportunity cost to the United States of withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Similarly, if from the WTO, if US will be withdraw, they definitely have a certain opportunity cost. But in terms of Trans-Pacific Partnership, the opportunity cost is all about the simulation results reveal that opportunity cost that the United States has to pay for its withdrawal from the TPP would be a loss of real GDP of 0.76% and a loss of welfare of US dollar 107 billion, which is supported by a decrease in its total exports of 8.43% and a decrease in its total imports of 6.31%. So that is all about opportunity cost in terms of Trans-Pacific Partnership, right? And here we understood that Japan achieved with the Trans-Pacific Partnership after the US pullout. Similarly, if from World Trade Organization, if regularly US indulge and doing the tussle, then definitely they have to face opportunity cost, right? Now we have a concept to learn that is all about the United States and the WTO. The United States has dragged India to the WTO requesting dispute consultations on the retaliatory duties imposed by India on 28 US goods in June 2019, right. So, retaliation is a part of thing. India has imposed the duties as a tit for tat move against the US decision to impose unilateral additional tariffs on steel and aluminum imported from India. We already understand the 25% and the 10% additional tariffs by the United States. The US claims that the additional duties are inconsistent with the provisions of the WTO's General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. On the other hand, India's argument in support of its duties is that retaliation is permitted under the World Trade Organization's agreement on safeguards. Now, here the very important point is, what is this WTO's agreement on safeguard is all about? The agreement on safeguards, which is known as in short SG agreement, sets for the rules for application of safeguard measures pursuant to Article 14th of general, or I am sorry, the 19th of general agreement on tariffs and trade, that is 19th article of GATT, that stand for General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade 1994. Safeguard measures are defined as emergency action with respect to increased imports of particular products where such imports have caused or threaten to cause serious injury to the importing members' domestic industries. Here, what is Indian stand in terms of WTO's agreement on the safeguards? India considered this measure of the US to be a safeguard measure within a provision of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade 1994 and the Agreement on Safeguards. Friends, it is very important for the sake of CSE prelims examination, the World Trade Organization's agreement on safeguards under the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade 1994. Therefore, India has sought consultation with the US under the World Trade Organization's safeguard agreement. India has sought to exercise its rights to consult on the specific of the measures and its rights to determine appropriate trade compensation with the United States. Further, to this the United States maintains that its tariffs are not a safeguard measure but were taken under section 232 of the US Trade Expansion Act of 1962 on grounds of national security. If the dispute consultations between the two countries fail to resolve the matter, then the US can ask the WTO to set up a panel to decide on the matter. This mini tariff war between the US and India, it is the first mini tariff war, sparked from US decision to withdraw GSP status from India and other economic issues. Also, it is not the first time the US and India had their trade issues settled at the World Trade Organization. Recently, India has won a major trade dispute against the US at the World Trade Organization regarding domestic content requirements and subsidies. Here, for the sake of CSE mains, we have one question, and that question is all about why has the United States crippled the functioning of the World Trade Organization. Discuss in detail the reasons for the US actions and efforts to revive the appellate body. It is a very wonderful question and we can write down in 250 words. So, after seeing this, watching this video, just try your best effort to write the answer of that question in 250 words against time. We have a infographics in which we show two economists, Mr. Harry White and John Maynard Keynes, the great economist who organized the Bretton Woods Conference in the July 1 to 22, 1944. So, in the year 1944, they organized Bretton Woods Conference. So, these two people, Mr. White and Mr. John Maynard Keynes, what they are speaking, after World War II, we established IBRD and the International Monetary Fund during Bretton Woods Conference. And what are the failures in terms of Bretton Woods Conference? During Bretton Woods Conference, we failed to inculcate International Trade Organization and International Clearing Union. These two organizations we fail to inculcate. they are discussing. And what they make the IBRD and the IMF. Now we will discuss what is that issue all about it. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade traces its origin to the 1944 Bretton Woods Conference, which laid the foundations for the post-World War II financial system and established two key institutions, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Right? The conference delegates also recommended the establishment of a complementary institutions to be known as the International Trade Organization ITO, which they envisioned as the third leg of the system. In Havana in 1948, the United States Conference on Trade and Employment concluded a draft charter for the ITO known as the Havana Charter, which would have created extensive rules governing trade, investment, services, and businesses and employment practices. The Havana Charter never entered into force, primarily because the US Senate failed to ratify it. As a result, the ITO was stillborn. Meanwhile, friends, an agreement as the GATT signed by 23 countries in Geneva in 1947 came into force on January 1, 1948 with the following purposes, and that purposes are number 1, to phase out the use of import quotas, and number 2, and to reduce tariffs on mercantile trade. So these are the two things which are the output. Here we will discuss the concept to learn history of General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Right? The GATT became the only multilateral instrument, not an institution, governing international trade from 1948 until the World Trade Organization was established in 1995. Okay. So that is the establishment year of the World Trade Organization, WTO. Despite its institutional deficiencies, the GATT managed to function as a de facto international organization sponsoring 8 rounds. A round is a series of multilateral negotiations, of multilateral trade negotiations, right? Here you can show certain meetings for the sake of CSE prelims. These meetings, their year and their output is very important, right? In 1947, the first meeting is in Geneva, Switzerland, and the output is all about 45,000 tariffs cut, average 35% cut worldwide, and 23 countries participated in it. Second, in 1949, it happened, ventured in Annie, France, and again the top outcome is tariff reductions, 13 countries participated. In 1951, it was in England, again tariff reductions to make smoother business decisions, you can say 38 countries participated. In 1956, again in Geneva, tariff reduction, 26 countries participated. In 1960 to 1961, it again happened in Geneva, the outcome is tariff reduction, 26 countries participated. In 1964 to 1967, it is a round of meetings, right? Geneva, again it is happened in Geneva, 35% average cut on industrial good tariffs, commitment on use of anti-dumping laws. So 62 countries, again there is a rise of participant countries. And in 1973-79, Geneva Tokyo round, 34% average cut on industrial goods, commitments on non-tariff measures. Here again a double participation from 62 to 102 countries participated. And till 1986 to 1994, again it was happened in Geneva. Services, trade and intellectual property included. You may remember it was in the last round of conferences. Built-in agenda on agriculture, World Trade Institutions created. World Trade Organization, or you can say that institution created, and 123 countries participated in this meeting, right? Next, the GATT became the only multilateral instrument governing international trade from 1948 until the WTO was established in 1995. The Uruguay round conducted from 1987 to 1994 culminated in the Marrakesh Agreement, which established the World Trade Organization. Friends, it is very important lines for the sake of CSE prelims and for the sake of CSE mains examination and any other UPSC examination. The WTO incorporates the principles of the GATT and provides a more enduring institutional framework for implementing and extending them. The GATT was concluded in 1947 and is now referred to as the GATT 1947. The GATT 1947 was terminated in 1996 and WTO integrated its provision into GATT 1994. So, we can say the GATT 1994 is an international treaty binding upon all WTO members. It is only concerned with trade in goods, right? Trade in goods. You see the makers of all this, the brainchild of these people. Again we have one infographics, and here you can show the GATT continued to operate for almost half a century as a semi-institutionalized multilateral treaty regime on a provisional basis. So, we can say here the question is which comes in the mind of that man, and that question is all about why WTO replaced the GATT. What is the lacunas of the GATT? And here the GATT was only a set of rules and multilateral agreements and lacked institutional structure. The GATT 1947 was terminated and WTO preserved its provision in form of GATT 1994 and continues to govern trade in goods. The trade in services and intellectual property rights were not covered by regular GATT rules. So, intellectual property right is a very important point which is covered by the WTO. That is the biggest difference. The GATT provides for consultation and dispute resolution, allowing a GATT party to invoke GATT dispute settlement articles if it believes that another party's measures caused a trade injury. The GATT did not set out a dispute procedure with great specificity, resulting in lack of deadline, laxity in the establishment of a dispute panel, and the adoption of a panel report by the GATT parties. It made the GATT as a weak dispute settlement mechanism, right friends? Here we have a concept to learn what is the difference between World Trade Organization and the UNO. Although the WTO is not a UN specialized agency, it has maintained a strong relation with the United Nations and its agencies since its establishment. The WTO-UN relations are governed by the arrangements for effective cooperation with other intergovernmental organizations. Relations between the WTO and the UN signed on 15th of November 1995. The WTO DG participates to the Chief Executive Board, which is the organ of coordination within the United Nations system. So, that is all about the relations between the WTO and the UN. Here we have a chart which shows the various organs of the World Trade Organization. It is a big thing to grasp. Thus, we make a short chart which says about World Trade Organization, and that is all about this. It is a small one and easy to grasp. Like World Trade Organization, second body is Ministerial Conference, then General Council, appellate body which we discussed in terms of India versus USA, then Council for Trade in Goods, then Council for Trade in Services, then Council for Trade related aspects of intellectual property rights. That is all about, in short, TRIPS Council. Now we will discuss all these things in detail. The very first Ministerial Conference. The topmost decision making body of the WTO is the Ministerial Conference, which usually meets every 2 years. It brings together all members of the WTO, all of which are countries or customs unions. The Ministerial Conference can take decision on all matters under any of the multilateral trade agreements. Second most powerful body is General Council, right. The General Council is the WTO's highest level decision making body located in Geneva, meeting regularly to carry out the function of the WTO. It has representatives, usually ambassadors or equivalent, from all member governments and has the authority to act on behalf of the Ministerial Conference, which only meets about every 2 years. The General Council also meets under different rules, and these different rules are this, like the General Council, the Trade Policy Review Body and the Dispute Settlement Body known as DSU. These three councils, each handling a different broad areas of trade, report to the General Council. The Council for Trade in Goods Council, here the Council for Trade in Services, that is Services Council, the Council for Trade Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights, TRIPS Council. It is the basic difference between GATT and World Trade Organization. It is added, right? As their names indicate, the three are responsible for the workings of the WTO agreements dealing with their respective areas of trade. Again, they consist of all WTO members. Now, we have the Trade Policy Review Body, in short TPRB. The WTO General Council meet as the TPRB to undertake trade policy reviews of member under the TPRM and to consider the Director General's regular reports on trade policy development. The TPRB is thus open to all WTO members. It is open to all WTO members. Now, the very important is Dispute Settlement Body, in short known as the DSU. The General Council convenes as the Dispute Settlement Body to deal with disputes between WTO members. Such disputes may arise with respect to any agreement contained in the final act of the Uruguay round that is subject to the understanding on rules and procedures governing the settlement of disputes. Right, friends? Now, the DSB has authority to establish dispute settlement panels, refer matters to arbitration, adopt panel, appellate body, arbitration reports, maintain surveillance over the implementation of recommendations and rulings contained in such reports. Right. It has again a very important point, that is the appellate body. What is all about the appellate body? The appellate body was established in 1995 under Article 17 of the Understanding on Rules and Procedures governing the settlement of disputes, that is DSU. They are correlated, right? The DSP shall appoint person to serve on the appellate body for a 4-year term. It is a standing body of 7 persons that hears appeal from reports issued by panel in disputes brought by the WTO members. The appellate body can uphold, modify or reverse the legal finding and conclusion of a panel. So, it is very important in terms of worldly dispute, right? Once adopted by dispute settlement body must be accepted by the parties of the dispute. The appellate body has its seat in Geneva, Switzerland. So, it is operated from the Geneva, Switzerland. Now, the Council for Trade in Goods. GATT covers international trade in goods. The working of the GATT agreement are responsibility of the Council for Trade in Goods, which is made up of representatives from all WTO member countries, right? Next thing is the Council for Trade in Services and Service Council. It operates under the guidance of the General Council. So, this is related to this, right? It is open to all WTO members and can create subsidiary bodies as required. Presently, the Council oversees the work of 4 such subsidiary bodies. First one is the Committee on Trade in Financial Services, the Committee on Specific Commitments, the Working Party on Domestic Regulation and the Working Party on GATT's rules. And at last, the Council for Trade Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights. It is a very important thing, intellectual property right, right? It monitors implementation of the Agreement on Trade Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights, which is known as the TRIPS Agreement. It provides a forum in which WTO members can consult on intellectual property matters and carries out the specific responsibilities assigned to the council in the TRIPS agreement, right. Now, what is the TRIPS agreement? It sets the minimum standard for protection for copyrights and related rights like trademarks, geographical indicators, industrial design, patents, integrated circuit layout design and undisclosed information. It is very important in terms of intellectual property right. It establishes minimum standard for the enforcement of intellectual property rights, that is known as IPRS, through civil action for infringement actions at the border, and at least in regard to copyright piracy and trademark counterfeiting in criminal actions. That is all about. So, it is a very good thing. In this chart, we have a ministerial conference so far, and one which likely to be in Kazakhstan in the 2020, the very first from Singapore, and very important is Doha in Qatar. The last 11th one is in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So, we will discuss these 2 or 3 ministerial conferences, right. The very first we will discuss this Doha, which is the 4th ministerial conference, and it is the topmost body of the World Trade Organization. We know it was happened in 2001. Right. The Doha round is the latest round of trade negotiation among the WTO membership. Its aim to achieve major reform of the international trading system through the introduction of lower trade barriers and revised trade rules. The round is also known semi-officially as the Doha Development Agenda, as the fundamental objective to improve the trading prospects of developing countries. The round was officially launched at the WTO's 4th ministerial conference, which is known as MC4, in Doha, Qatar in November 2001, which we already discussed, right. The Doha Ministerial Declaration provides the mandate for the negotiations, including on following subjects like agriculture, more market access, eliminating export subsidies, reducing distorting domestic support, sorting out a range of developing country issues and dealing with non-trade concerns such as food security and rural development, right. It is very important. Second thing is non-agricultural market access, known as NAMA, to reduce or as appropriate eliminate tariffs, including the reduction or elimination of higher tariffs, tariff peaks and tariff escalation. Third point about the Doha Ministerial Declaration is services. To improve market access and to strengthen the rules, each government has the right to decide which sector it wants to, right. And the fourth point of Doha Ministerial Declaration is trade facilitation, to ease custom procedures and facilitate the movement, release and clearances of the goods. This is an important addition to the overall negotiations, since it would cut bureaucracy and the corruption. So, we discussed 4 aspects of this Doha: first, second, third and the fourth. Very first is all about the agriculture, second is all about the non-agricultural market access, third one is towards the services, and fourth one is about the trade facilitation. So, Doha round is very important, right. Next, we have a infographic which shows Mr. Trump, what does 25th anniversary of WTO means for you, because you just distorting and just pull out from the WTO and will create a question for its future course of actions, right. A very stealth frigate is there and a very small bot of World Trade Organization is there in that graphics, and it shows the WTO officially commenced on the 1st January 1995. It is very important for the sake of CSE prelims examination. The origin of WTO, or you can say the birthday of WTO, is on 1st of January 1995 and it is the 25th year. Under the Marrakesh Agreement signed by 123 nations on 15th of April 1994, replacing the
General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which commenced in 1948. It is the largest international economic organization in the world. Thus, on 1st of January 2020, the WTO marked its 25th of anniversary. But instead of wishing him, Trump administration is threatening it, this holy organization, right? Now, one question in the CSE 2018 was asked, and we will discuss for the sake of knowledge, and that question is, विश्व व्यापार में संरक्षणवाद और मुद्रा चालबाजियों की हाल की परिघटनाएं भारत की समष्टि आर्थिक स्थिरता को किस प्रकार से प्रभावित करेगी? उत्तर 250 शब्दों में देना है. How would the recent phenomena of protectionism and currency manipulation in world trade affect macroeconomic stability of India? Answer this question in 250 words. So, we can try at our home to answer in 250 words, right? Again, we have a question, a model question for CSE Mains 2020 examination. What are the key areas of reform if the WTO has to survive in the present context of trade war, especially keeping in mind the interest of India? In terms of India, we guys will have to answer. So, we can here speak like, or we can write down here, WTO officially commenced in 1995, we can write down in the introductory answer after replacing the GATT, and WTO intends to supervise and liberalize international trade, but recent trade wars initiated by USA with China, India and other countries evoke the need of reform in WTO if it has to survive in the present context, right? And the key areas of reform which we can mention in our answer are like number 1, number 2 and number 3. 3 reforms are needed. First, in the dispute settlement system, second in the reducing trade cost, and third one is all about modalities of negotiation. And at the end we can write down, India is one of the prominent members of WTO and is largely seen as leader of developing and underdeveloped countries. More than 40% Indian economy is exposed to international trade. If we want to achieve a double digit growth over a sustained period and create jobs, our external trade has to grow at more than 50% year on year basis, which is not possible in an uncertain trading environment. Therefore, India should call upon all WTO members, including the US, to undertake a systematic reform in the above stated crucial areas of the World Trade Organization's functioning, right? So, it is a very important question to discuss and answer, right, for the sake of upcoming CSE mains, right? We have a next question, and it is all about the broader aims and objectives of World Trade Organization are to manage and promote international trade in the era of globalization. But the Doha round, which we very discussed in detail, Doha round of negotiation seemed doomed due to differences between the developed and the developing countries discussed in the Indian perspective. Friends, here very important thing is we have to closely observe what is the need, want and desire of the question which is likely to be asked in the mains, and first we have to understand and then we have to answer that question, right? So, in that particular question we can say India has been trying to prevent attempts by rich nation to introduce new issues like labor and environment. India wants the discussions on these non-trade and WTO plus issues to take place only after outstanding matters related to the Doha round negotiation have been resolved. India took this stand because the declaration brought out at the end of ministerial conference of WTO at Nairobi did not reaffirm the mandate of the Doha round aimed at opening up global trade, right? And at the last we can say India can only be successful in this endeavor of putting an end to attempts to introduce new issues if it can establish a strong alliance of developing and poor countries and training a sufficient pool of trade law experts to represent them effectively at WTO's dispute settlement body, shortly known as DSB. Thank you very much, friends.